Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. We're really glad that you're in the audience tonight, whether you're watching us live or if you're watching us later, either the recorded podcast or the recorded audio. We're really glad that you decided to join us. Well, hello. Chris Chrisman says,
Hey, Chris.
Good evening, Rob and Joan. Hey, Chris, good to see you. George Dismuke says,
Yay.
Updates complete. I'm here. Yay.
Sliding into home. He's here.
His computer was updating right when we were about to go on the air. Marjorie Deering, hello, Rob and Joan. Happy
Hey,
Wednesday. Yes. And Joy York says, good evening. Hello, Joy.
Good evening.
And Paul Hollis says, hi, everyone. Hello.
Hi, Paul.
Connie Cleary. Hello, Connie.
Hi,
Glad
Connie.
that you can make it.
Holy
Joe Conjul says,
Hi,
hi,
Joe.
Rob and Joan. Hello.
gosh.
You all got here very early and on time tonight.
This is great.
Chris
Good to see
Chrisman
everybody.
says the gang is all here. LOL. That's,
that's
for
for
sure.
sure.
We just need Paul John. What's his name from
Paul Rushworth Brown.
Paul Rushworth
Yes.
Brown.
From Down Under.
Yeah, I'm so great with names. You know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Joe Conjul says full house, and Connie Cleary says hey to Chris and Joe.
Okay. So we have a hurricane going by us in the Gulf.
And it's already started.
Yeah,
Bands have been coming through, so
rain bands, not rock bands.
say a
Okay.
prayer that
Rain
we can
bands.
get through the whole.
Yeah, hopefully. It's right. Not too bad right now. It didn't look bad on the radar, so I think we'll be okay during this.
Yeah, because we have a really great guest on
We
whose
sure do.
book just launched tonight. One of the books we'll be talking about, which today. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah. So, okay. A couple reminders. Thursdays, tomorrow night, WDJYFM.com. That's 99.1 FM in Atlanta, for those with FM radios that want to listen to it. Joseph Lewis episode is on 9 p.m. Eastern time in the Atlanta area. Then episode Rewind is on this coming Saturday is going to be Cheryl Carpinello, her episode, and that's the 28th of September. And then this coming Wednesday, next Wednesday, we're going to chat again with Joseph Carabas about the shaman, and he's got a new book that's coming out. So that's
next Wednesday?
October 2nd. Yeah. So
Well,
he's always fun. He's
yeah,
a
you
funny
know.
guy, right?
Yeah, he's funny and he knows things.
And speaking of hurricanes, the Haunted Campfire Tales episode that we were going to have live tomorrow night has been rescheduled for next Thursday, October 3rd, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So
Yeah,
if you come to the campfire, we won't be there tomorrow. It's a week from now.
Joe Conjo said Gettysburg Part 2 tomorrow. Can't wait. It's going to be next week because
Yeah, we had
for
to change
sure
it.
Les and Beth won't have any electricity. And we may not have electricity. We have to, we're going to be evacuating tomorrow morning.
Right.
Joe Conjul says, you're killing me.
Before we get to the book news, I wanted to tell you about the podcast news. Our audio downloads have just surpassed 96,000 downloads. 96,000. That's just like, the top 6 countries, of course, the U.S., we're carrying 68%. But the other balance, number 6 is Thailand, Number 5 is India. Number 4 is Australia. Number 3 is Nigeria. And number 2 is Bangladesh. So we're getting out there, folks.
So Joe says, meeting same night next week. Yes. Thursday night next week, same time.
We changed the event on Facebook, so you can find it there.
Yeah. And Chris Christmas says, wow, about how many downloads. I know it's really crazy.
Yeah.
Paula says, congrats on the downloads. Joy York said, congratulations. Joe Conjal said, never mind, wrong day. And Chris Christmas said, amazing. Well done, guys. Yes,
well,
it
it's
is.
The authors that are all interesting enough makes this show interesting.
And it's our audience. And I know I've said that before, but you guys, you make the show. That's what makes our show so good, is because of you guys.
And speaking of the show, on to book news. Book news. Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles, book number 28 is now available by Richard Schwint. For Boys Who Struggle with Darkness is the name of this one. We find out about more murders in Magnolia Bluff, Texas. And then, speaking of Texas, look what came in the mail the other day. Song of San Leon by George Dismukes. See the beautiful copy there. Nice stairway in front there. It figures very well in that book. And the big news on that of Song of San Leon, not only is it a good story, it's been made into a screenplay already as we speak. It's already a screenplay, and it's going to be produced as a movie. Yes, a movie. That's what I said.
And who wrote the screenplay?
The screenplay was written by none other than Paul Hollis.
Good job, Paul.
Good job, Paul. George is quite happy with it.
Yeah.
So we can't wait to
We're excited.
See what happens there. So Paul is going to be one of the producers of the movie, or the producer. So that's kind of cool.
Yep, that's fun. Chris Christman said the chat is where it's at. Connie Cleary said congratulations. And Chris Christman said nice cover, George Dismukes. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that all our news?
That was a lot.
I know.
It was a lot more than I thought.
And it was pretty exciting.
It was pretty cool. All of it was good.
The hurricane wasn't exciting or fun, but
no.
George's news was exciting. Joe Conjal says, congrats, Richard, George, and Paul.
That's almost the Beatles. Yeah, great job, Paul and George.
Joy Yorson. Yeah, it is. It's really, really awesome.
It's exciting. Okay, well, before we use up any more of our guest time,
let's bring her on.
She's being very patient back there, tapping her foot in the green room.
She is not.
Yeah, we don't even have any drinks or anything in the green room, but
just bring her on stage.
I want to introduce Ruth F. Stevens. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Robin Joan.
Welcome to Crazy Town.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry about your hurricane. We don't have to worry about that in California. We just have earthquakes and wildfires.
Right, and you've had plenty of those.
You've had a lot lately. I mean, as you know, our daughter lives out there in Orange County, and it's just been one little earthquake after another, and like you said, wildfires. And
yes.
Yeah. Paul Hollis says, "Hi, Ruth. Welcome."
Thank you. I'm excited.
And Chris Christman said, my first thought was, where's Ringo? When Joe Conjal said, congrats, Richard, George, and Paul. Yeah. Funny group. Funny audience. So how are you doing this afternoon? It's this afternoon where you are. It's evening where we are.
That's right. It's still afternoon. Too early to drink.
Oh, it's not. It's 7:10 here, so you're good.
But I'm doing fine. Very excited because tomorrow is my official launch day, and it's been a long time coming. And I think most authors say that these books don't just happen overnight.
That's true.
Thank you. That is so true. Oh, I thought it was tonight, but it's tomorrow. So this is the eve of your launch.
Yeah, it's close.
Happy launch eve.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's time to start celebrating. certainly.
Paul Hollis says, hi, Ruth, and welcome. I might have already read that. And Chris Chrisman said, happy book launch, Ruth, and welcome. Yeah, I know. It's always fun.
Yes, it is. Although my debut novel, which launched a few years ago, it was really different. It was still the pandemic, and nobody was having events or getting together. Or there it is, stage 7 for those who can see it. It was a very different feeling. Yeah. Because,
yeah. It was pretty hard during that time to get too excited about anything, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
it was.
Especially your first book, you want to, when you get the first copy, your first paperback, and you hold it, there's nothing like that, right? It's so great, even if it is in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah. It's a great feeling, for sure.
It is. It's a huge accomplishment, and then you hold that book, and you're like, "Whoa, I wrote that." That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and my new publisher is so efficient that I got my first copy about 4 months ahead. So I've had a lot of time to hold it in my hand, and
that's cool.
Yeah,
this is real. Mm-hmm.
Joe Conjal said, with the time difference, you're almost right, Joan. LOL. Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started writing?
Sure. Well, I grew up in the Northeast in Rhode Island, and then later lived in New York. But I've kind of always been a writer. When I was a little kid, I taught myself how to type, and I would write stories and poems and even newsletters where I interviewed my older brother Peter. That was good training for what eventually became a career in public relations and advertising, mainly PR. So I've always been writing, but it wasn't until I retired from my day job that I decided, well, maybe I could try writing something else. So that's what I did. And I wrote a stage play called Stage 7, because I didn't know if I had a book in me, but I loved theater and I felt I could write dialogue. And the play got produced by a community theater and 4 performances. And that was like no other experience. I mean, it's exciting to hold your book in your hand and to have readers connect with you or review you, but to be there with an audience of 100 people, and watch the reactions, that's like a whole different thing.
Yeah.
That must have been fun.
It was. And so I try to write, I like to read and write stories that make me laugh and cry. Sometimes even at the same time, but as long as there's both in there. And that's what happened with the play. The audiences really did react that way. So that was great. But something else happened that I hadn't expected. So the play was partly based on my mother's Alzheimer's, my experience with my mother, who had Alzheimer's in her final years, which sounds like it's going to be really depressing. But as I say, I like funny too. So there's a lot of humor in it, and there's a love story, not between Alzheimer's patients, but the daughter of one and the wife of another. The husband of another Alzheimer's patient, who in that case was a final stage patient, didn't know anybody, that kind of thing. And so a woman came up to me from the audience after the performance, and she said I wasn't going to come because I lost my husband a few months ago to Alzheimer's. I thought it would be too depressing.
Yeah.
She said, but a friend of mine had seen it. She said, no, you should go. It's funny. It's good. And she said, I'm really glad I came because your play gave me permission to move ahead with my life.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yes, that was my reaction exactly, Joan.
It's powerful.
That is, that's so humbling, isn't it? To think you had that kind of an impact with your work on someone's life. That's
exactly, because I wrote it as an entertainment. I didn't write it to change people's lives, certainly, or have any expectation about that. But when I saw that that was a possibility, I decided to expand it into a novel.
Wow. Yeah. Great.
So that's where stage 7, the book,
came from.
Mm-hmm.
That's really amazing. You can't get a greater compliment than that.
That's right. And I ended up, after the book was published, I was accepted into a group called AlzAuthors, and that's it's just one word, AlzAuthors.com. It's a nonprofit organization, and it's a compendium of books and blogs and resources about Alzheimer's and dementia. And it's all kinds of stuff. It's fiction, memoirs, caregiver guides, all that kind of thing. And it's really a great resource for anybody who's dealing with dementia issues and needs information. It's also something that any writer who's writing anything about dementia should be aware of it as well.
Right, good resource for them too.
Yeah.
So I've been volunteering for them as a fiction editor in their acquisitions team.
That's great.
So it's rewarding, and there are a lot of great books in the collection.
Yeah, I'm sure that there are a lot of help books for both sides. I think we've got a comment here. Oh, Chris Chrisman said, "I wish I had known about that 2 years ago with my mom." Yeah.
I wish I had known about it 10 years ago with mine, but they were just getting started then. But yeah, and people find it very helpful, very comforting.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure then you're able to connect with other people that are going through the same thing. And that's always so helpful.
Yep.
Because,
exactly.
Really, when you talk with people that are going through the same thing, some people may have been dealing with it longer, some people less, and you can all kind of help each other, and they might have hints on how to approach things. And I don't care what you're dealing with. It's always good to have a group that understands what you're going through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, and very helpful.
And we'll get your website out there later, but there is a link on your website, right, to AlzAuthors?
There is. It's on my author page of my website.
Okay, great. We can talk about that then, but I wanted to make sure everybody knew that. Okay, cool.
Yep.
So that was your first foray into writing a book, was after you had written a play, which you kind of did it, the opposite of what some people would do.
Yeah.
I usually start with the book, and then it's the screenplay.
Exactly.
So, but that's really awesome. So then you wrote stage 7, and is that what sparked your interest in going further and writing another book? Did you enjoy writing a book that much, or?
I did. Once I found out I could actually do it, I had another idea, and it was a much lighter book, a different kind of idea. And so that's where we got to my year of casual acquaintances. So the premise of this book is it's a 50-year-old woman who's recently divorced. So she's middle-aged, but she's very fit. She's very young looking, and she's bitter because her husband has left her for another woman. So she decides she's just cutting herself off from everything in her past life, and she's going to start over and just have a lot fun, no commitments. And she joins a new gym and sets herself up in a nice new apartment by the ocean. It's set in coastal Los Angeles, which is where I live, in a nice area. So I think people here are going to enjoy it. But anyway, so she's determined that her life is going to be commitment free and fun. Of course, life doesn't always work out that way, which you'll find as she goes along. But I almost started with the title, and the the format, the structure of the book came from the title. My Year of Casual Acquaintances. It's episodic, and it's divided into months, and every month she takes up with a different acquaintance. I mean, some are romantic, some are platonic. One's a little boy, one is a dog. So mix. And so each month is kind of its own story, but at the same time, there's this overriding arc of what happens to her. Mar is her name. What happens to her during this course of her first year of divorced life. So.
Well, Chris Chrisman says that's a boss cover, and Joe Conjal says the cover portrays fun, which it does. And I see that it's time for us to...
I say it's time for commercials.
Commercials. Yeah. A few commercials.
We need to take our first commercial break.
I talked over Ruth a little bit there, but she said thank you to both of you, Chris and Joe. Yes.
Okay, so we're going to take our first commercial break, and when we come back, we got a lot more to talk about.
We do.
Don't go away, folks.
This novel, set against the backdrop of the English Civil War, explores love and survival amidst the chaos of war. It combines historical events with personal narratives, highlighting the impact of conflict on individuals and families. England, 1642. When bloody civil war breaks out between the king and parliament, families and communities are driven by different allegiances. Red Winter Journey is a sweeping tale of adventure and loss, sacrifice and love, with a unique and unforgettable story of a mother's love for her son at its heart. A historic journey of twists, turns, and a dash of spirited passion.
I finished reading the book a couple of days ago. It was a great read. The plot was indeed compelling, and I loved the conclusion. What I particularly enjoy in Paul's novels is his vivid recounting of historical details as to the social and cultural sides at the time. His characters are very likable and relatable.
It's 1919, and Eric Laska returns from the war in Europe. Two new enemies await him in the small coal mining town he calls home. One is a threat to his relationship with Rebecca, the love of his life. The other, a bloodthirsty beast, is stalking the mining town residents. The townspeople suspect Eric of one of the killings. An old man and Rebecca's 11-year-old sister have seen the beast, but only Eric believes their story. To protect the town and clear his name, he's forced to prove the werewolf exists. Available on Amazon. The Horror Within by Marjorie Swift Doring.
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Now comes part 4 in the Jaguar series by retired Hollywood scriptwriter George Dismukes. In this saga, Brandon, Andrea, and Naja, the Black Jaguar, go deep into the Mato Grosso jungle on a mission to rescue 2 kidnapped children. During their journey, they encounter many dangers, including Yanomami Indians, bent on revenge for the murder of one of their warriors.
Return of the Jaguar is book 4 in the Jaguar series, starting with 2 faces of the Jaguar, the Lost City, and the Jaguar's Quest. All 4 are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other bookseller websites worldwide. Return of the Jaguar is a must-read.
And we're back. Paul Rushworth Brown said, hello from sunny Sydney. Love your show, Rob and Joan. Thank you. And we love your commercial that we just played.
Good morning, Paul.
It's your best one so far, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I like it.
Yeah, we love it.
Tight.
It is. It's really good.
Okay.
So we say good morning to Paul, good afternoon to everybody on the East Coast, and good evening to everybody else.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I know. Okay, so let me bring up. We just finished talking about my year of casual acquaintances, and now drum roll for the new book, The Unexpected Guests. You want to tell us, and that's coming out tomorrow. It's
No, Casual Acquaintances is coming out tomorrow.
Oh, it is. Oh, I
don't-
got that all messed
Oh.
up.
You know what? Everybody's getting confused. I'm getting confused because they're coming out only 3 months apart. So
Gotcha.
it's making me a little crazy, but excited.
So this is coming out tomorrow.
Yep, correct.
Okay. All right. Well, you set the stage for it.
That's coming out tomorrow. And if I can go back a second to before the commercial break, the comments about the cover being fun and light,
and that it portrayed fun.
Yeah, and that is true. And what a lot of my early reviewers are saying is that they're finding the book to be a fun read and that it's light, but it's not lightweight, which is what I like, because it's true that, Mar, the main character, is dealing with some really serious issues about rejection and loss and loneliness.
Yeah.
So the characters are fairly complex, or several of them are. So it has some depth, but it's also, people are finding it to be a fun read.
Yeah. And like you said, it's an arc of her journey through that year. So, there's going to be a lot of growth from bitter and, I'm never going to get serious again, all the way to wherever we see her end up at the end of the year.
Today.
You'll have to read the book to find out.
The next one.
So I got that completely backwards.
No problem.
The unexpected guest was
a sequel. That's a sequel, and it's coming out in late December. So 3 months after Casual Acquaintances.
Okay. I get that now.
Picks up where the first book leaves off.
All right. So we have the same cast of characters, sort of, in this one?
Yes, there's some new ones, but several of the same ones. But it's a different book too, because the first book is all Mar, which is short for Margaret. Where first person POV, we're in her head the whole time. And in the second book, we're not at all. She's still a major player, but 3 of the characters from the previous book are alternating their voices. So.
Okay. And so when this is interesting. So what I want to find out was this unexpected guest, this one, was that also written in first person, but first person for 3 different people, or was it third person omniscient?
It's more like third person limited. You're kind of in that person's head, in that person's perspective, but it's not first person.
Okay. Yep. First person, that, good for you that you wrote in first person, because
hard to do.
It's really hard to do, in my opinion. Joe York says, colorful cover, very eye-catching.
Thank you. Yeah, first person, to me, I don't know. I didn't find it harder. And it was also present tense. And that eliminates a lot of decisions about, past or past perfect, or what do I say here?
That's pretty true. It can get confusing. Joe Conjo said, hi, Ruth. Did you complete both books and then set up to do a rapid release, sort of like the romance writers do?
Not exactly. I wrote both books kind of before and during the pandemic. So I was never bored during lockdown. I had plenty to do. So I wrote both of the books within the space of a year or two. But then the publishing journey was a lot longer. And then when I eventually wound up with my present publisher, Black Rose Writing, they signed for both books. And it was their decision. So I'd written them a while back, but it was their decision to release them close together, 3 months apart.
So that's why you're doing it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Joy York said, that's what editors are for, to figure out the appropriate tense if you didn't.
That's true.
This is true.
Exactly.
You wanted to read a passage?
Sure, I would like to do that. So, the passage
And it'll be from my year of casual acquaintances.
that is correct.
All right, we're on track.
The first
We're on
book
track.
coming out in hours from now. So, in reinventing herself, Mar joins this new gym where a lot of the action takes place, and that's where she meets she's meeting a lot of people, but she doesn't really know their names. You know how that happens at the gym?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she makes up nicknames for them. And so you'll hear a lot in this passage about a man about her age that she's noticed around the gym, whom she calls Sexy Eyes. And she also in this passage mentions Henry, that's the ex-husband, and Alice is his new girlfriend, the woman that he left her for. So she's trying out a new yoga class, and that's where it'll pick up. As I enter the yoga studio, Sexy Eyes is walking in front of me, carrying his rolled up purple yoga mat. Uh-oh, are we expected to provide our own mats? Then I see an open supply closet. I grab a mat, bolster, strap, and 2 blocks, mimicking the others who have claimed their places and are sitting or reclining, already engaged in pre-class warm-up poses. Sexy Eyes rolls out his mat and settles into a spot in the front row, and I position myself behind him. Marlene, the teacher, enters a few minutes later. Namaste, everyone, she says as she sweeps across the room, all lightness and grace. I thought namaste was something people said at the conclusion of a class, but apparently you can use it to mean hello or goodbye, like aloha or shalom. She instructs the class to start in a cross-legged seated pose and tells us to place our hands in a position that sounds something like Angelina Jolie. Then she repeats the phrase, and I now understand it to be Anjali Mudra, which describes the simple gesture of pressing your palms together in front of the heart. What follows is a succession of poses that Marlene calls out in rapid-fire Sanskrit. My comprehension of Sanskrit is about on par with my fluency in Mandarin, but I stumble along trying to keep up. I find it helpful to watch Sexy Eyes and follow his lead. His long body is agile and lithe, flowing from one pose to another with effortless skill. He has a light winter suntan that suggests an affinity for outdoor activities. His hair is dark on top, but graying around the edges, straight and thick, in a boyish cut that tumbles across his face whenever he lowers his head or turns sideways in the twisty poses. His limbs are well sculpted, but his is not the bulging physique of a bodybuilder, which is fine by me, since I regard the muscle man look as a major turnoff. The truth is, I'm not watching Sexy Eyes to guide me through the poses as much as I'm ogling him. And why not? I haven't been with a man in a long time, and without question, this man is highly oglable. I reflect with catty pleasure that there's no way Alice can derive this kind of pleasure from observing Henry, whose pale limbs and long bloated torso have gone soft and fleshy from years of inactivity. Though in the bedroom, I guess he hasn't exactly been inactive. Stop thinking about Henry, I command myself. Near the end of class, as we execute a recumbent spinal twist, Marlene sits in a serene lotus pose, organizing small towels into a neat pile. I'm all in favor of multitasking, but is it appropriate for this woman to be folding her laundry? It isn't until we assume our final corpse pose or savasana, and she tiptoes around the room to distribute a warm towel to each of us, that I understand the lavender-scented cloths are to enhance our final relaxation with aromatherapy. I nearly burst out laughing at my own cluelessness, but Sexy Eyes turns his head toward me as he adjusts his pose, and our brief eye contact stifles my impulse to laugh. As I take in the soothing scent of the lavender, my eyelids grow heavy. Next thing I know, Marlene is summoning the group back to consciousness with a gentle voice to lead us through the final Om. On our way out of the studio, Sexy Eyes asks me, "Did you enjoy the class?" I smile up at him. I did, but all those yoga terms go way over my head. You might try Marlene's introduction to yoga class. Only English is spoken there. He must see my smile fade because he adds, "Kidding. Keep coming back and you'll catch on in no time." Is he being polite or is that an invitation? I've no idea, but I float downstairs to the lobby, my body humming with an unexpected frisson of excitement. I can hardly wait to get back to Hatha Yoga to work on all those unpronounceable poses.
Very, very
Very good.
good.
Thank you.
And
Entertaining.
very relatable because our daughter is a yogi. So
Oh,
we've been to many yoga classes.
good for her.
Okay. So, all right. George Dismuke said, Paradise, my prison was in first person. It drove me nuts. I
Uh-huh.
agree with you, George.
It's difficult.
I think
us.
it's difficult for
It's
us.
great that you were able to do it.
Yes. And we've had other people on that really enjoy writing in first person, but I think it's a lot of work. Chris Chrisman said, just FYI, Rob, the YouTube stream is good. That's
Thank
great.
you. That's good to hear.
Joe Conjal said, love it. Sounds like she wants more than a casual acquaintance with sexy eyes, LOL. Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. Paul Hollis said, wow, great read, which it indeed was. Chris Chrisman said, very good. Joy York said, great read. Chris Chrisman said, the dialogue, I knew exactly how she was thinking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great visual there.
Yep.
It was like you were right there. You know?
And I like it when people use words like frisson. It's like, yes, thank you.
And Angelina Jolie.
Oh, that was funny.
That's funny.
That was really funny.
That was from personal experience because when I started doing yoga, that was what it sounded like to me. I had to look it up and see. Oh, okay. Anjali.
Yeah, I know. Our daughter runs through all that, and we're just like, oh, okay. Love it. Oglable in particular.
Yeah, that was
I like that too.
Thanks.
Not sure if it's in the dictionary, but
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
DG McCool says, great job. Hi, Dale. Welcome.
Hi, Dale.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, no, it was really good. I see why people think that it was light, but not lightweight, because that section was definitely light, but not lightweight.
Right.
I mean, well done.
Oh, thank you.
You know, that's difficult to convey that much. And you did. You conveyed it all. You could see the yoga room. You can understand the Angelina Jolie. You could feel the lust.
Well,
about sexy eyes.
And this is the Seaside Fitness, the gym where a lot of this is set, is based on my real life health club, and so which is called the Bay Club Redondo Beach. And shout out to them; they are hosting the launch party on Sunday.
Oh, that's great.
That's awesome.
That is great.
That's awesome. And they have yoga classes there, I assume.
Oh, yes. Yes, they do.
That's where you met Angelina Jolie.
Right. But not Brad Pitt, however.
Yeah, I don't think there's a Brad Pitt pose.
Well, it could be, I suppose.
You know, I've never heard a Sanskrit word that sounds like Brad Pitt. Yeah.
No, you're probably right.
Yeah. And namaste, we got all that.
Okay.
Actually, it means I bow to you, right?
Does it?
Namaste.
So you can see it before.
The literal translation means that. But yeah.
Yeah, before or after. Yeah, that would be appropriate.
Mm-hmm. It just means respect to the other person.
But a lot of people close their sequences with that.
With namaste. Yeah.
Right.
Really,
you see it before and after.
That's probably where that idea comes from, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it is more like aloha or shalom, which can be used for very multiple things, you know. And the same with namaste. Yeah. So do you still do yoga? Are you enjoying it?
Oh, I enjoy it very much. During the pandemic, the Bay Club started holding beach yoga classes.
Oh, nice.
And so they used to be daily because they couldn't really do anything else at the time.
Right.
So now they don't have them as often, but I still like to do that on Sundays. It's just wonderful being down by the water, and the sea lions are barking, and you hear the waves crashing, and it's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. And Yeah. Oh, I know that we've done with our daughter. We were she and her family were on a vacation in Maine, and every morning we did yoga outside, and it was really, really a great way to start the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's a real good way to start the day too, by picking up one of these books that our sponsors are going to be talking about on our commercial break.
And Ruth.
And Ruth, of course.
Okay.
Ruth's book, of course, yes. But anyway, we do need to take a break for our sponsors, and we'll be right back, you guys. Don't go away.
Profiteers are preying on displaced souls who seek freedom, sacrificing everything. Wanting to give their children hope and a future, but they wrongly trust on a roll of loaded dice. Teens are picked off and sold into slavery. Cartels offer the choice to strong young men to move illegal drugs over the border or die. The R Group and CATS team leaders want to end Mateo's inhuman business model. The heroes must derail the human exploitation and opioid epidemic, killing people in increasingly dramatic numbers. If they can save even a few from the jaws of death, they win. The present-day battle is in full swing, yet it can end badly for humanity unless the Enigma heirs triumph. Who will survive the onslaught, and how fast can they make Mateo pay?
Have you wanted to publish your story? Have you thought about self-publishing? Today is your day. 5-star Amazon review. Self-publish your ebook on Amazon for free in 2024. This ebook is available on Amazon. By Becca L. Jones.
Paradise, my prison. Charlie Flint awakens from a deep sleep and finds himself alone on a tropical beach surrounded by a palm tree jungle and exotic animals. He cannot remember who he is or anything about his life. First, he must find food and build shelter and protect himself from hidden dangers. As his memory gradually returns, it reveals what a very flawed person he is. A man who made too many mistakes, made too many enemies. The implications of the truth are staggering. How did Charlie get there? And will he save himself? Paradise, My Prison is the riveting new suspense thriller from retired Hollywood scriptwriter George Dismukes. Paradise, My Prison by George Dismukes is available in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats worldwide.
And we're back.
Indeed, we are.
Well, first of all, let me bring up Ruth's website. It's ruthfstevens.com. And for those of you that are listening, that's ruthfstevens.com. And you can reach her there, and you can find all of her social media and all that kind of good stuff. Right?
Right.
Okay, good. One of the things I wanted to ask you about was your publishing journey, because you talked about it a little bit earlier, but would you like to fill us in on how that went?
I will give you the condensed version because we don't have another hour. Stage 7 was hybrid published. After a long attempt to find an agent, then I got an agent, then that didn't work out. But so I was antsy to get the book out, but did not want to, go through the learning curve of self-publishing. So I went with a hybrid publisher. But for the next books, starting with Casual Acquaintances, I started querying small presses, small indie publishers. And I signed a contract with a publisher called Touchpoint Press. And that, for several months, everything was on track. They assigned an editor who was very good, had a great experience with that. She was really helpful. And then the galley was supposed to be out ready by March. And this is March of now a year and a half ago. And it kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And we had a publication date. They'd given me a date of the following October, 2023. And after a while, it became clear that they weren't doing anything. Nothing was happening on the book. And I started getting in touch with a lot of other authors from Touchpoint, and they were in the same boat. And the people who were their published authors were no longer getting their royalty checks. So, yeah, so it was, and we later found out that the editors and formatters and those people weren't getting paid either. So, yeah, so it was really kind of a nightmare. But in my case, my contract stated that if they didn't publish the book within 18 months, that the rights reverted to me. And that's what happened. So I was one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
Because just last week, the Authors Guild, their legal department, reached an agreement with Touchpoint, and Touchpoint has closed its doors. They've stopped publishing, and there's going to be an escrow account set up, which will be like court supervised, to try to pay back these royalties or some of these royalties to the poor authors who are owed money.
Wow.
Yeah, it's terrible. So, I mean, I was really one of the luckiest ones, because when I saw this was happening, I started querying others, and I ended up getting this 2-book contract with Black Rose Writing. And they've been terrific. I mean, it's such a breath of fresh air after what I've been through, with the bad experience.
Do you know what happened? Why they did that? Or, had they been publishing before? And
yeah, they had. I knew a couple of people who had published with them and said, they thought they were good, and they had been doing okay. And then I think they started signing up too many authors, and they fell behind, and the publisher top person had some issues, and things just disintegrated.
Do you have any advice, like red flags for people to watch for or something, so they don't get into that situation?
Well, what I would say is, like I say, I went on the advice of a couple of people who had published with them. But my advice would be dig deeper, do your own research. And there's a site out there, Writers Beware, that, monitors this stuff, and that they watchdog it, and they publish articles about publishers that have had complaints against them. If you belong to the Authors Guild can help also. And just Googling, complaints against, publisher XYZ, and see what comes up. And you got to be careful there too, because there's always somebody who's going to complain about anything.
Right.
Like our book reviews, right? There's always somebody who's going to hate your book.
Right. Yeah. And for no good reason, but yeah.
So,
Marjorie Deering says, as if writing isn't hard enough. That's so sad. Yeah. You're right, Marjorie. It is. And that was rough. But I got one piece of advice from what you said, is that you had it in your contract that if they hadn't published it within 18 months, then the rights reverted back to you.
And that was standard. That wasn't something I asked for. That was in all their contracts. And most contracts should have something about that. What happens if the publisher just decides to sit on it forever?
Yeah, because it happens.
Yes.
We've heard horror stories. So
that's why you have somebody look over your contract who, if not a lawyer, somebody who is familiar with publishing contracts.
Right. Well, I'm glad though that you got out of it okay, and now finally you're going to see both books published.
Yes.
In a very short period of time.
Yeah.
3 months you're going to have, oh, it'll be coming out around Christmas time.
Yes, actually, December 26th. So
Day after Christmas. Good. Boxing Day.
Mhm.
Marjorie Daring said, and yet that's 18 months wasted.
Mhm. Yep.
Yay, indie publishing. Yeah, I agree. That's the route we go. We indie publish.
Mm-hmm.
Then anything that's messed up, that's on us.
Exactly.
But yeah, but you're having a good relationship with your publisher now. There are good publishers out there.
Yes, yes, and this sure seems like one. And looking at some of the other authors' experience, some of their authors who've been with them for several years and several books, there's a lot of success stories and a lot of camaraderie. Well, authors are amazing that way, and they've got a Facebook group for their authors, and if you put any question on the out to the group in the morning, it can be, hey, have you ever tried such and such a promotion, or anything. By the end of the day, you'll just have a long list of comments and feedback.
That's good.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Joe Conchel said, how involved is Black Rose with the marketing?
Well, that's one of the things that I really like about them, because I think that a lot of small presses are not so strong on the marketing end. And Black Rose really is. And they offer a lot of support to authors, a lot of options. And some of it the author pays for, some are done on a co-op basis, but it's all optional. You don't have to do anything they're suggesting. They also help guide us through processes that my hybrid publisher never did. Like, here's a list of reviewers that you can submit to, and here's how to do it, and here's the web link and how far in advance to do it, that kind of thing. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good. Did they help you pick your genre too, so that you have the right analytics for dear old Amazon?
Well, I'm leaving that to them. So they hopefully, yeah, I think they know what they're doing more than I do. Obviously, the author has input, but genres, there's so many now of these subgenres.
Mm-hmm. And you have to have multiple subgenres if you want to get your book up there in Amazon.
The algorithm. Yeah.
The algorithms are crazy, and they change every 3 months.
It's
on Amazon.
It's crazy. My book isn't out, and I just for the heck of it, I look at the rankings, and it's ranked, and of course the rankings change every couple of hours, and I have no idea where that even comes from.
Yeah.
Out yet.
AI gone wild. I think.
Yes, I know it is. It's really crazy.
Mm.
But it's something we all have to live with.
Yeah, the easy part of being an author is writing the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we only have a minute or two left. I wanted to ask you if you had anything beyond on the drawing board at this point or in the works. What can people expect?
Well, so right now, these two books are called the South Bay series. But when it's two books, it's kind of more of a set than a series. So I would like to tackle a third one, but with everything that's gone on with these two, I haven't found the time for that yet. But I do have a lot of notes. So.
Okay, so that's kind of the direction you'll be heading in then. Okay, that's good to know.
It won't be out in 3 months, I can tell you that.
I don't think
maybe we can look for it next year.
Yeah, maybe next year, right?
Yeah, or sometime like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just depends on how fast you can get it out and how well your creative juices are going. Some books go really fast. You can write them really fast, and some books not so much.
It's the first drafts that go fast for me. It's the revisions that take my
Oh,
book.
the revisions take forever. And by the time you're done with all the revisions, you're sorry you wrote the book in the first place and you're
That's
sick
right.
of reading it. It's
Well,
like,
I actually like revising, but I guess I'm weird. I like revisions and I like first person. So
Yeah.
I hate going over and over and over and over the book.
It's good
again.
to be unique, though, right?
Yes, it is good to be
I
unique. So you're unique. You like revisions and you like first person. Though I think a lot of people like writing in first person. We just find it.
Well, we liked having you on.
Yes.
And it looks like it's about time. Yeah, it's about time that we have to go.
Okay.
So wanted to thank you for being on. I want to remind everybody to go to your website. That's ruthfstevens.com. All of her social media links are on there, and the link to the AlzAuthor for the alz.com for the Alzheimer group can be reached through her as well. And it's something that a lot of people are probably really interested in. So thanks for making us aware of that too.
We have a few comments before we sign off. Joe Condell said, great show tonight as always. Thank you, Ruth. And of course, Rob and Joan. Thank you, Joe. Chris Chrisman said, great show. Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you, Chris.
Joe York said, wonderful show as always. Thank you, Ruth, Joan, and Rob. Thank you. Thanks. And Marjorie Deering says, thanks to all of you. And thanks to our audience.
Yes. We're going to move you over to the side here. Want to make sure you remember to join us next Wednesday to talk with our talk with Joseph Carabas. Always a fun time with him.
It
and
is.
His pizza making self.
Yeah, we got him to buy a second pizza oven. He bought the same one we did.
Right. Remind everybody, pick up your copy of Song of San Leon by George Dismukes.
And look for the movie.
And watch for that movie. It's going to be out. Not tomorrow, but it will be there. Well,
Yeah.
I believe it. So, I guess.
What?
Until next time.
That's all, folks.
Live every Wednesday, your Voice of Indie hosts Beam Weeks and Stephen Gees welcome authors, musicians, publishing industry pros, artists, and assorted creative guests for an exciting interactive hour. Call in during the show or post questions and comments on Twitter for responses in real time. Meet your favorite indie creators, learn inside tips, network, and promote your work. The link for each week's show is pinned on Twitter atop @VoiceOfIndie. And you can receive the link every Wednesday morning in your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter at freshinkgroup.com. Check out Voice of Indie every Wednesday on Blog Talk Radio and catch hundreds of episodes archived everywhere from our websites to our YouTube channel and Spotify.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-.